Good morning. Today we are starting binder 2 for trimester 2. We are starting with unit 5, CO29. CO29 says I can write a ratio for a given situation 3 ways and in simplest form. So we are going to be working with those ratios in this unit, really getting to understand what it all means. So, first thing is we have to know the definition of a ratio. A ratio compares a part to a part. So, we're going to look at what ratios look like. There are 3 different ways we can write a ratio. And we need to understand that no matter which way it's written, it means the same thing. So if we have a bag that contains 6 yellow marbles, 8 blue marbles, 3 red marbles, and 12 green marbles. So all those marbles are mixed up into one bag. We need to look at how we can write different ratios. The first one says blue to yellow. Now this is super important when it comes to ratios. You always have to go in the order that it's listed. It says blue to yellow. So your first number is going to be the blue number. Your second number is going to be the yellow number. It has to be in that specific order. You can't flip them. Because if it says blue to yellow, the person looking at it's going to think that first number is blue. So that first number has to be the blue number. So if we look up here, our blue number is 8. Our yellow number is 6. So we have 8 to 6. 8 blue marbles to 6 yellow marbles. Look at what our next box says. Simplified. Oof. Just like when we work with fractions, we always have to remember to simplify. What would 8 to 6 simplify down to, Finley? 4 to 3. We can divide a 2 out of both of those numbers. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So our final product has to be that simplified version, making sure we keep that blue as our first number. You can't randomly flip them. Blue always has to be first for this because it says blue to yellow. Now we have 3 different ways to write this ratio. The first one is just like I wrote it here with the word 2, 4 to 3. So the first way is with the word 2. The second way is instead of writing the word 2, we use a colon. We call it 4 to 3. Okay? It just has a colon instead of the word 2. Our last way looks like a fraction. 4 to 3. 4 on top, because that's the first one we say when we say our fraction, we say the numerator first. So that blue needs to be on top, 4 to 3. So let's look at our next row, red to green. What number should I put in my first box? Avery. Not Avery, Clara.
12.
3 red to 12 green. So we've got the 3 red, we've got the 12 green. Now we need to simplify. Holland, how do I simplify it?
Divided by 3.
I can divide a 3 out of both sides. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So now I have my simplified form. Now I need to write it as in our 3 different ways. First way, using the word 2. Second way, we replace the word 2 with our colon, the 2 dots. And the last way, we put it So it looks like a fraction, 1 to 4, 1 over 4. Next row, blue to green. What would that look like? Elliot, 8 blue marbles to 12 green marbles. What would that be simplified, Henry?
It would be 2 to 3.
2 to 3, because I can divide that 4 out of both sides. And I need to write it my 3 ways. Using the word 2, using the colon instead of the word, and using that fraction bar. Noticing how 2 is always first. Yellow to red, what would our ratio be? Holland?
6 to 3.
6 yellow to 3 red. I need to write the word red. What would that be simplified, Laurel?
2 to 1.
I can divide out that 3 out of both sides. So simplified, it is 2 to 1. Then I need to write it my 3 ways, with the word 2, with the colon, and like a fraction. Last one, red to blue and green. What would that ratio look like? Clara, what do you think?
3 to 20.
Yeah, there are 3 red, and then it says blue and green. That and means I have to add them together. So blue, the 8 blue plus the 12 green gives me 20. What would my simplified ratio be, Elliot?
3 to 10.
Yeah, I can't simplify it anymore. So simplified would still be 3 to 20. So then we write it our 3 ways, with the word 2, with our colon, and as that fraction. Okay, any questions on that part? All right, so let me erase so I can scroll up. How is a ratio different from a fraction? Remember I said it looks like a fraction. How is it different? Think about the definition of a ratio. Think about what a fraction means. What would their difference be? What do you think, Elliot?
Fraction is like a part of one number, and a ratio is 2 numbers.
So that ratio, it compares that, he said the 2 numbers, 2 parts. So a ratio compares 2 parts. Or compares a part to a part. Right? It's comparing those 2 parts. A part to a part. So what is a fraction? Elliot was on the right track. We can kind of clean up that definition of what a fraction is. Clara?
It's less than a whole.
Is it always less than a whole? Because I could have 106 out of 100. If I got all the extra credit points on my test and I got all of my questions right, I could be over 100 on the top, right? So it's not, a fraction doesn't mean it's always less than a whole. If it's improper, it's actually more than a whole, but you are on the right track. Finley?
Oh, part of a whole.
So think about the numerator to the denominator. That numerator is a part, so it compares a part, but instead of comparing it to another part, okay, the yellow marbles to the red marbles, that's part to part, This time we're comparing it to that word that both Clara and Finley were using. We're comparing it to the whole. So when we're working with a ratio, we want to make sure to remember it's not actually a fraction. It could look like a fraction, but it's actually saying part to part, red to green, right? It's not how many I got right out of the whole number. So it's different than an actual fraction. Do you have a question? So be careful. It looks like a fraction, but it's not a fraction when it's a ratio. There are differences. So answer the questions. We're going to put our ratios in simplest form. Simplify, 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 just like with fractions. So you are baking a cake, and the recipe calls for 32 cups of flour and 42 cups of sugar. It's a big cake. Whew. What is the ratio of flour to sugar? Now, I'm going to tell us to do something that's very important to do, and a lot of times friends forget to do it, and then they make simple mistakes. We're going to always look at the question, the ratio of flour to sugar, and we're going to set up with labels, flour to sugar. So we remember the order of our numbers, because sometimes we will have questions that don't put it in the same order as the information as it's given. They'll flip it up because they want to make sure that you are paying attention to details. Details matter, right? We have to put it in the exact same order. So I tell us to label it because it's going to help us make sure we're putting our numbers in the correct spot. So you're going to, first thing you do is you're going to label flour to sugar. Flour to sugar. I put my little ratio. You can write the word to. I like the colons because it's just easy. It's just 2 dots. That's my go-to ratio that I use. You could use any of them. So now I need to fill it in my numbers. Flour comes first. So I've got 32 cups of flour to 42 cups of sugar. Am I done? Is that my ratio? 32 to 42. Why not, Chris? I have to simplify. What can I divide out of both 32 and 42? Colton? 2. I can divide a 2 out of both sides. What is 32 divided by 2?
16.
16. What is 42 divided by 2?
21.
I need to make sure my final answer flowed. 32 divided by 2 comes first. 42 divided by 2 comes second. I need to know it stands at flour to sugar. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm telling you over and over and over again to label it for a reason. It will come out that our things get switched around into a different order. With ratios, it is super important that our ratio follows what the question is asking. Flour to sugar. That flour number has to be first, sugar number has to be second. Doesn't matter the order that it was given to us in the beginning. That order doesn't matter. What matters is what they're asking for. Just like with those marbles in the bag. Right? Red to yellow. You have to put the red number first, then the yellow number. Labels matter. So on this first page, we are just setting up those ratios till we get to the bottom. I think the bottom one is a little bit different. The boy to girl ratio in a class is 2 to 3. There are 30 students in class. How many boys and how many girls? Ooh. How do you think we set this up, Holland?
Multiply 2 times 3.
So, yeah, you're right, we have to do something different. That's not gonna get us the answer. We're gonna start out the same way we're starting out the others. What's the first thing I should write on my paper? What's the first thing I should write, Colton?
Label it.
Labels, boy to girl. So boy to girl. Okay, then I have a ratio already. Boy to girl, I have 2 to 3. There are 30 students all together in our class. So if I have 2 boys and 3 girls, is that my 30 students? No, that's the simplified form. So I know the final form with how many actual boys and how many actual girls, I know that equals my 30 students. Just by looking at that, what else could I fill in? Elliot?
You could see what 2 times what equals, part of 30 is.
Yeah, but I don't know which part of 30. So you're right, I do need to know 2 times what to get up to that 30. But there's something else I can figure out real easy right now. Any guesses? I know that I have a total down here. So that means I have to have a total up here. So what is my total in my first ratio? Clara?
20.
Remember what the word total means. What math do we have to do to find the total? Joe?
5.
5. Total means we are adding. 2 plus 3 equals 5. The total of boys and girls is 30. So boys plus girls is going to equal 30. Now I'm going to say, well, how did I go from 5 for a total to 30 for a total? Finley? I multiplied by 6. So what do you think I have to do with my boys and girls? Elliot? I went from 5 to 30 by multiplying by 6. So what do I have to do with the boys and the girls? Multiply by 6. So I need to multiply both sides by 6. And then I'm going to check my work. Does 12 plus 18 equal 30? It does. So you're going to make your ratios with the information you're given, boys to girls, 2 to 3, 30 students total, and then you fill in what you can figure out. We can figure out the total of our first ratio. From that, we can see what scale factor to multiply by, and we multiply the boys and the girls by the same scale factor. So sometimes there's multi-steps that we have to do to get our answer. So, on the test, would this be done? Why not? No, we're not simplifying. They gave us the simplified ratio. Henry?
You gotta look at the final question. You gotta answer how many are boys and how many are girls.
Yeah. You have to spell it out. There are 12 boys and 18 girls. So my final answer is answering the question, how many boys, how many girls? So you have to give me that final answer. Make sure it's answering the question. Making sense? Okay, so we have those word problems. Let's look at our second page word problems. Says, put your ratios in simplest form. Some of them are going to be a little bit easier. Some of them get a little more complicated. Let's look at this first one. At halftime of your basketball game, the ratio of your score to your opponent's score is 7 to 4, and the sum of your scores is 33. What is the score of the game? what's my first step? What should we always do when working with ratios? Elliot?
Right now. Like with labels.
Labels. So, your score, your opponent's score. And then we're gonna put what that ratio is, 7 to 4. So I always look, first is yours, the second is your opponent's. 7 to 4. The sum of your scores is 33. What is the score of the game? So what do you think my next step is? 7 to 4 is the simplified ratio. We need to find the actual score. So what do I have to do, Joe?
You can add 7 plus 4,
What does that equal?
13. No, 11.
Okay. That's not the actual, our score is 33. The sum is 33. So now what do I do? Colton,
Well, you divide, then you multiply the,
what am I dividing?
11 divided by 33.
Oh, where do I put that 33 when I'm writing it out? Right under it, right? That's the sum. Sum means total. So I'm gonna add that piece to my work. And Colton's right, I need to say 33 divided by 11 to figure out what that scale factor is. What is 33 divided by 11, Colton? 3. So I know that 11 times 3 is 33, right? What I divided by, going the other way, I'm multiplying. So how do I find what the score is? AJ?
Multiply 7 and 4 each factor.
Yeah, I need to multiply by that same scale factor. 7 times 3 is 21, 4 times 3 is 12. So, my final answer, your score is 21, the opponent's score is 12. So what is the score of the game? 21 to 12. Does that make sense? So be careful when we are looking at these. What is it asking for? Is it asking for a ratio? Is it asking for a missing number? Where are you filling in the blanks? First step, write your labels. Second step, make sure you're putting your numbers under the correct label and figure out what information you're given, what's missing, what we have to do to find the answer. There are some that are multi-step and we have to think it through. Be careful, go slow, make sure you're figuring it out correctly. Any questions? Don't rush. I see some of us are rushing through trying to get it done right now as we're still going through it. Go slow. We make easy, simple mistakes when we rush. When you are finished with this, if you get finished before it is time for us to switch, is it social time? What should you do, Henry? Packet number 5, right? We just got it on Tuesday. I think there was somebody absent on Tuesday who still needs it. Was there somebody absent on Tuesday? Or were we all here? I might be thinking about, oh, but I gave it to you before you left. So you got it. Okay, so we should all have packet number 5. So make sure you're working on that when you're done with our objective. We are correcting tomorrow. Start off, try to, in a strong way. Make sure you have your work done. No missings on the first day, okay? So get your work done. Work on packet 5. If you are watching from home, I hope you are well. I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like and subscribe.